let people know, last night I published this article, and this is something that conservatives don't like me talking about, but this is important. And this is directly related to what we're talking about with libraries too. Leftists are using book bans against you to turn your children into activists. Now, I have been against book bans since this crap started 2 years ago, driven by Moms for Liberty. I was against it the minute that it started. And the reason I was against it is not that I'm in favor of porn in schools, which I know conservatives like to say, but that's just not the truth. Like, anytime I talk about how this is a really bad idea, conservatives like, oh, you want kids reading porn? Well, no, that's not what I want. But there are other reasons that this is a bad idea. And one of the reasons that this is a bad idea is that we now know for sure, unequivocally, I'll even play you the audio on this stream right here. We can do a little pre-show. Hang on, let me get the audio set up. We now know for sure, unequivocally, that socialist activists, librarians specifically, but I'm sure this is also going on in schools, are using the book bans to activate your children to turn them into socialist activists. Like, socialists do not mind that you guys are doing the book banning stuff. They love it. I heard about the book bans more at the socialism conference than almost any other topic. You want to know why? Because they are actively planning for how to use the book bans to activate more activism against you. They fucking love that you guys are doing this book banning stuff. Every single time you are focused on book banning, socialists are using it to not only gain more power over you, but also to do activism in different areas that you aren't even paying attention to because you're so focused on book banning. But even more than that, they are using book banning to go to your kids and say, can you believe your adults and your parents are trying to ban these books? Isn't banning books horrible? Do you think banning books is a good idea, little Johnny? And then little Johnny, because he hasn't developed the logic reason function of his brain yet, says, book banning is horrible. I can't believe the evil conservatives would try to ban books. And then they start creating little activist groups of children in the libraries and in the schools to introduce children to the idea of activism. What that means is that every single time that this book banning bullshit is pushed, you are actually gaining power for the left by giving them a really easy way to turn your children into leftist activists, because children are never going to be able to wrap their minds around this, guys. Children have fairness and justice, like they have that programmed into them. It's not fair that I can't read that book. It's not fair that he can't read that book. It's not fair. It's not fair. They're using it to teach your children how to be activists. And I'm going to prove it to you before we get into the main video today. This again is on the Substack. I published this last night, but this clip that we're going to watch is from a spy stream that I did a couple weeks ago, a supporter exclusive spy stream into the Urban Librarians Conference. This is Emily Drabinski, the head of the American Library Association, getting asked a question by a participant in this conference that directly says that librarians are using book bans to organize programming for your children that is going to teach them how to be activists. It's a quick clip. Let's listen.
So we have a question here from Laura. It's a comment and question about book banning. Focus on the kids. As a YA librarian, I'd say we should focus on teens and tweens to do interactive, engaging, and fun programming around banned books. I say this because every time I do, they are floored to learn that some books are banned. I know I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so perhaps that is my privilege, but my point is that the more we talk about the absurdity of book banning to young people, the more allies we gain and future taxpayers to support libraries. What are your thoughts on this? And thanks for all you do.
Yeah, absolutely. My kid goes to a sleepaway camp for a few weeks every summer, and this year the kids do a sort of activist project, and their project was book bans, and they were so exercised by the idea, so outraged by the idea that an adult would say they couldn't read a book. I mean, it's just absolutely, your kid is just like mind-blowingly outrageous and unacceptable, right? So I do think those youth voices are really important. I was in Dallas.
So Emily goes on for a little bit and says some more stuff that's not relevant, but I wanted to play you guys that clip because this is proof, guys. This is proof. This is not just onesies and twosies. It's just that this is how we happen to come across it. Librarians are creating programming for your teens and tweens about how to fight back against the book bans perpetrated by the evil conservatives, and using that to introduce them to leftist activism. And then Emily replied, my kid went to sleepaway camp where they also taught them how to be activists using book bans as an example. So I know, guys, I really do. I understand. I get it that you guys don't want porn in schools. You don't want porn in libraries. I really, really get it. I do. It's not an unreasonable request. It's really not. But what I want you to see is that your focus on the goddamn books, which, by the way, isn't actually going to result in what you think it will anyway, because as I've previously covered on this channel, 19 Ways from Sunday, socialists have dozens of book publishers that are churning out books all the time. So if you get genderqueer out of the library, you're giving yourself a big pat on the back. Guess what? They're going to replace that with like 5 more books that you don't even know about. And it's going to keep you in a constant state of chasing your tail, just chasing after these newest books, when the supply of books will never end. They are using it as a diversionary tactic to keep you focused on something that you can never, ever, ever, ever beat them at. And so while I understand and don't think it's an unreasonable request that children should not be exposed to porn in schools, I really want everyone to see that every single time, every single ounce of energy that you are putting into this unwinnable battle, which is the book banning nonsense, you are actually giving the left all the ammo they need to turn your children into activists and to gain more power over you. Every single time you get a win with the book bans, it's not really a win at all, because when you've been doing that, the left already advanced 3 steps ahead of you every single time. You are literally digging your own graves with this. I don't know how else to put it. I really don't. Sometimes you have to make the smart, strategic decision. Sometimes you have to kill your darlings. Killing your darlings is a concept in writing where you write something that you think is genius and perfect and the most amazing thing you've ever written, and then you look at it back in the context of the overall book, and it just doesn't make sense. And it might be great, and it might be awesome, and it might be the best thing you've ever written, but in the overall context of what you're dealing with, it doesn't make sense. So you have to kill your darlings. If conservatives are ever going to have any shot of beating back this ideology, they need to kill their book banning darling. They need to stop, because every single time, and I don't want to hear any fucking excuses, every single time you guys think you get a win on the book front, you're actually losing. You're digging the hole deeper, and you don't even realize that you're digging the hole deeper, because the socialists, the far left, the activists, the librarians, the teachers, they are celebrating. They're using it. They know it. It is strategic. So if you guys don't want to listen to this and you want to keep focusing on the book banning bullshit to suck the dick of Moms for Liberty, go right ahead. But don't say that no one ever warned you that it was going to be a bad idea. Moms for Liberty has done more damage to the anti-woke movement than any leftist organization could ever dare dream. Moms for Liberty is the astroturfed Pied Piper that is leading the conservative right off a cliff. And no one even realizes it, because they aren't paying attention to what the left is actually doing. And Tim Pool is a moron if he believes the right is winning the culture war, because it just means he's not listening. Anyway, that I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of. If you want to listen to that clip, share it around. It is available exclusively on my Substack, because this was part of unique journalism and reporting that I did that doesn't exist anywhere else. It is on my Substack today at carlin.substack.com. And if you want to support the work I'm doing with a subscription for $8 a month or $80 a year, I would really appreciate it, because you guys are the ones that give me the ability to go inside the events, like the Urban Librarians Conference, which did cost me money to sign up for. And we would not get this information without it.